Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cyber in Practice. In this episode, we'll explore security log monitoring and investigation through hands-on demonstration. We'll generate authentication events, examine Windows security logs, and investigate the evidence recorded by the operating system. By the end, you'll understand how security analysts use log data to monitor activities and support investigations. Let's begin by understanding what security log monitoring actually is. Security log monitoring provides visibility into activities occurring across systems and applications. Every login attempt, security event, and system action can generate records that help security teams understand what's happening in an environment. By reviewing these logs, analysts can identify suspicious behavior, investigate incidents, and support security operations. Now that we've defined log monitoring, let's look at why it matters. Why log monitoring matters. Without logs, organizations have very little visibility into what's happening in their systems. Unauthorized access attempts, account misuse, policy violations, and security incidents can go unnoticed if activities isn't being recorded and reviewed. Security logs provide the evidence needed to detect these threats, investigate events, and respond appropriately. To understand how this works in practice, let's review some key concepts we'll encounter during today's demonstration. Throughout this demonstration, we'll be working with Windows Event Viewer and security logs. You'll see how event IDs help categorize activities and how authentication events are recorded, and how analysts use logs details such as timestamps, account names, and event outcomes to investigate security activities. These are the foundational skills used by SOC analysts and cybersecurity professionals every day. With those concepts in mind, let's review our objectives. Today's demonstration follows 5 objectives. We'll generate a failed login event, generate a successful login event, review the corresponding security logs, investigate the event details, and then discuss how this information supports real-world monitoring and investigation activities. This goal is to understand not only what the log records, but how security teams use them. Let's move on to the hands-on demonstration. We'll be working within a Windows 11 virtual machine using Windows Event Viewer and security logs. Our objectives is to generate authentication activities, locate the corresponding events, and analyze the evidence recorded by the operation system. Let's move into the demonstration. We're now in a Windows 11 lab environment. The system is configured to record authentication activity within the Windows security log. This gives us an opportunity to generate events and then investigate exactly what information is captured during the authentication process. Let's begin by creating a failed login event. Create a failed authentication event. I'll intentionally enter an incorrect password several times. As expected, Windows rejects the authentication attempt and records the activity within the security log. This type of event is commonly generated when a user mistypes a password, but it can also be associated with unauthorized access attempts, password spraying, or brute force activity. Now let's generate a successful authentication event for comparison. This time, I'll authenticate using valid credentials. The login is successful, and Windows records another authentication event in the security log. Successful login events are important because they help analysts verify legitimate users' activity, establish timelines, and correlate activity during investigations. Now that we've generated both events, let's locate them in Event Viewer. Event Viewer is the primary Windows tool used to review system security events. Security analysts frequently use Event Viewer to investigate activities, validate alerts, and gather evidence during incident responses. We'll open the security log, which contains authentication and access-related events recorded by Windows. Let's start with Event ID 4625. Event ID 4625 represents a failed logon attempt. As we review event details, notice the event ID, timestamp, log source, and account information associated with the failed authentication attempt. From an investigations perspective, these details help analysts determine who attempted access, when it occurred, and whether the activity appears normal or suspicious. A single failed login is often a result of user error. However, repeated failed logins within a short period of time can indicate password spraying, brute force activities, or unauthorized access attempts. This is exactly the type of information security analysts monitor when looking for potential threats. Next, let's review Event ID 4624. Event ID 4624 represents a successful login and confirms that authentication was completed successfully. Notice that the event contains similar information, including a timestamp, account details, and log source. Successful authentication events help analysts establish normal activity patterns and verify when a user successfully accessed the system. During an investigation, analysts often correlate successful and failed login events to build a timeline of activity and better understand what occurred. Now that we reviewed both events, let's compare them. We can see a failed authentication attempt reported as event ID 4625, followed by successful authentication record as event ID 4624. This sequence matches the actions we performed during the demonstration and confirms that the security log accurately recorded both events. Correlating related events allows analysts to reconstruct activity, validate user action, and identify potential suspicious behavior. At this stage, analysts would document their findings. For the failed login event, we record the event ID of 4625 from the Windows security log. For the successful authentication, we recorded the event ID of 4624 from the same source. These records provide evidence that can support investigations, security monitoring, and incident response activities. With the investigation complete, let's review the overall workflow we followed. What we demonstrated follows a common security investigation workflow. We generated activity, captured the results of the event, reviewed security logs, investigated the event details, then assessed the findings. Each step builds upon the previous one, allowing analysts to move from raw log data to meaningful security insights and documented evidence. Let's conclude with the key takeaways from today's episode. Today's demonstration shows how security logs provide visibility into authentication activities and support security investigations. We generated and analyzed event ID 4625 for a failed login, event ID 4624 for a successful login. These events help analysts identify suspicious behavior, validate legitimate activity, establish timelines, and support incident response efforts. The most important takeaway is that security logs serve as a critical source of evidence. Effective monitoring and investigations depend on collecting, reviewing, and understanding the information logs provide.
Thank you for watching Cyber in Practice. If you enjoyed this demonstration, stay tuned for future Cyber in Practice episodes.